First story is titled, Am I the a-hole for telling my mom my brother and I were not her pawns to rename when it worked for her? I, 18 female, lost my dad when I was 8. My brother Cole was 6, my sister was 2, and my brother Logan was 4 months old. 2 years after our dad died, our mom remarried. Our mom then went through the process of trying to change all our names to his. Cole and I objected, and we actually spoke out in court saying we didn't want our names changed. We didn't want to be adopted, which my sister and Logan eventually were after they gave up on me and Cole. And the judge agreed with us since we were used to our last name. It was always a point of contention, and our mom refused to acknowledge our last name anyway and always called us the stepdad's last name, family. Always. And she would always try to get extracurriculars and stuff to use her name instead of our name, in a non-legal sense, which bugged the crap out of us. One of my teachers used to write my legal name, but call me by my stepdad's name because she and my mom were friends, and it sucked. They never stopped asking us to change it. And then around Christmas, my brother wanted to be registered for some professional art classes, and our mom tried to bargain with him that she would sign him up for the classes if he would agree to change his name. My brother said it was fine, and he wouldn't take the classes. Our mom freaked out. She called me, and she told me that we were behaving like brats and hurting her and our stepdad's feelings. I told her she needed to stop, that we weren't her little pawns to rename whenever she liked, that she had to accept we had our dad's name, and her husband was never going to be our dad, and that she had driven us both away, as well as ruined the relationship with our younger siblings, because they see us as bad for not changing our names. I told her that all of this comes back to her and trying to force us to change something we had grown used to, our last name. She told me she was doing the best thing for the family. I rejected that and told her she was doing the best thing for her, not us. We haven't talked since, and my brother said she's still pissed as hell at us both because of it. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top judgment. Not the a-hole. She told me that we were behaving like brats and hurting her and our stepdad's feelings. She is the one acting like that, not Opie. It's always projection, isn't it? Behaving like a brat and hurting the feelings of those close to you. Did the mother accidentally stumble into a room with a mirror? Not the a-hole. She is just trying to erase the fact that her husband is not your father and has consistently refused to accept your own feelings on the matter. I'm assuming by adoption, you mean your younger siblings were adopted by stepdad so that he would legally be their father while your mother stays as their mother. If so, then that would not be an a-hole move, since the distinction would matter for things like healthcare. Example, stepdad would not be able to consent on behalf of a minor, but legal adoption dad would. They wanted him to adopt all 4 of us, but Cole and I didn't want it. They delayed adopting the younger 2, but eventually realized they would never get consent for all 4 of us to be adopted. So he adopted them. Your mom is the clear antagonist in this story, but where is her husband in all of this? He can be just as forceful and pushy. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for lawyering up when my ex and her husband started divorce proceedings? Little background. I was deeply closeted when I married my ex-wife. I came out right after my daughter was born, and we continued on in what was basically an open marriage for 2 years, until she met her soon-to-be ex-husband and told me she wanted a divorce. It was amicable, and we co-parented with only the bare bones of a custody agreement for 10 years. I met my husband 2 years later, and we got married a couple months after it was legal. My son, then 12, was an honorary groomsman. The 4 of us get on amicably, and I will fully admit that my ex's husband has as much right to call himself their dad as I do. He cheated on her is the thing. My son, 16, was the one to discover the text that the couple lewd pictures to another woman when he was helping my ex's husband set something up on his laptop. So where we stand now is that my son is old enough that custody agreements don't apply to him, and as a result, he's living with me and my husband until things blow over. My daughter is a different story, as she's 13. So in the anticipation that the ex's husband would want partial custody, I hired a lawyer to defend my parts of the custody agreement we already had. I don't want to see her less than I already do. I don't want a stricter agreement than what we already have. And I don't want to get drawn into my ex and her soon-to-be ex's fight. So in preparation, I lawyered up. Ex of X took that news poorly and posted this whole rant on Facebook about people taking advantage of other people's misfortune and indirectly called me a vulture. He brought up the fact that my son is living with me currently and acted as if I was trying to deprive him of his kids. So, am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. The advantage of step-families like yours is that the children have more than two loving parents. But the disadvantage is that if one of the parents divorce, the former step-parent now legally has no rights to the children in most cases. It's wise of you to get a lawyer if the custody arrangement for your children is being revisited. And save a screenshot of that Facebook post to show the lawyer. Not the a-hole. His kids? They ain't his kids. Don't get involved with someone else and expect to still play house. Dude, this is why the sub sucks. In every post about problems with step-parents and step-kids, they are told they are the a-holes if they don't treat and love their step-kids exactly like they do their own bio-kids. And that the entire step-family, step-grandma and grandpa, are complete a-holes if they don't treat them the same. Example, paying for bio/adopted kids schooling and not step-kids. Bigger presents for bio-grandkids. The difference is, and why lots of step-parents don't treat them the same, is they aren't their parents if a divorce happens. Unless the step-parent has adopted the step-kid, there is a high chance they will not be allowed to see them anymore. Lots of step-families realize that their relationship with the step-kids only lasts until the bio-parent decides it ends. That can make bonding even more difficult, and in that many step-kids have two parents already. Too long didn't read. The stepdad was a freaking a-hole for cheating, but to say they ain't his kids when they were his kids up until the divorce is messed up to the kid and to the adult. Parent-kid relationships don't end when a divorce paper is signed and it's, "Bye, I know I treated you like you were my own, but see ya." A kid doesn't understand why step-parent who was their parent in all the ways their bio-parent was, suddenly isn't anymore. Talk about damaging a kid. Don't punish a kid because of a divorce. Unless there was abuse or the kid hated a step-parent. This case, it sounds like from what Opie said, this ex-step-parent was a great parent. Not the a-hole. They are your kids unless he adopted them, which it doesn't sound like he did. Also, protect your retirement right now. Your ex, if she is broke after the divorce, might become desperate for funds and try to revisit your divorce settlement. Some states allow this, Florida for one, some don't. Be proactive on this. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to let my ex have anything of our daughter's belongings? My daughter was born with a chronic heart condition. We spent months in the hospital. At the time, my ex started complaining that this was too much, and her family suggested that she get some rest from the stress aside from postpartum. Her family said they were worried for their daughter. However, they didn't care much about their granddaughter. They told me that their daughter's physical and emotional health was more important than my daughter's. Her family hated me, and I know that they secretly wished that my daughter die so they could get rid of me and have nothing to do with me. My ex's family didn't let me talk to my ex about our daughter. They even sent me texts telling me they can't wait for this to be over and for their daughter to move on. I'm not gonna lie, I resent them for that. When my daughter was 6 months old, my ex left the apartment and left our daughter at my mom's house. She said she couldn't live with me because of those circumstances. She just couldn't handle the responsibility and saw no future with me. We were only engaged at the time, so I got the ring back and I became my daughter's only present. It was only me and my mom at the hospital. At some point, I had to beg my ex's family for money, but I was being told to get the hell out of their house and not come back several times, telling me it wasn't their problem since their daughter rented it. They called me pathetic and even said they'd get the state to take my daughter because of how irresponsible I was. I stopped talking to them. I had to do all I can and come up with the money. My daughter had undergone 2 surgeries and medication didn't improve her condition. She eventually passed away 3 months ago. She was only 3.5 years old. Didn't even get a decent birthday celebration that I was planning for her 4th year. I was devastated. I felt like my ex and her family won. This past week, I was surprised to see my ex at my door and lashing out and calling me nasty names. She kept yelling at me, asking how I could do this to her, and not let her know that her baby passed away and that had to hear from a mutual friend. I didn't want to talk, so I told her to leave. I had so much anger from seeing her, and there was no guarantee I wasn't going to do anything stupid. Her family played along in berating me and calling me cruel. Yesterday, she showed up with her sister wanting to take some of my daughter's belongings. I refused and told her to leave. My mom was there. She told me to stop and let her in to take what she wanted, but I yelled at her and told her that she has no rights because everything was bought by me. Despite not having money, I managed to buy her toys and clothes, while my ex and her family turned their back on their own blood. She's now talking to my friends to pressure me into letting her take my daughter's things. I kept ignoring them, but at this point, there's no avoiding it. The reason her family never accepted me is because they think they're better than me. They claim that I was with her for money. I was 25 and she was 30 when we started dating. To them, that was an obvious sign that I was with her for money, and they made sure I got nothing, even when they saw me struggling trying to provide for their granddaughter. They controlled my ex, banned me from moving to her place, and insulted my living situation, and cut any support to their own daughter to get her to realize that she made a mistake and leave. But with our daughter in the picture, things got complicated. But they got what they wanted eventually. Now for the top comments. Not Dayhole. She chose to not be involved in the kid's life. That's on her. She's not entitled to souvenirs now. She doesn't want a souvenir. Those are for memories. What could she possibly have memories of? She wants to resell them for cash. Not Dayhole. She effectively abandoned her living child. And she's come back to, what? Keep the scraps of her memory? With the money you used to buy those things. She should have been there to have solid real memories when your daughter was alive and needed her mother. I'm so sorry this happened to you. I wish you all the comfort and peace in your time of grieving. There's no peace at this point. I keep refusing and she keeps pushing. I'm literally losing it and her family won't leave me alone. I guess they only care about looking good to outsiders, constantly claiming confusion and playing innocent. I'm done with their BS. And lately, I have been thinking about moving away, but now I'm seriously considering it. Not Dayhole. Your ex is a pretty poor excuse for a human being, and it seems that's probably hereditary. Demanding things from your daughter that you purchased is about as low as you can get, given the circumstances. The only items I would let her anywhere near were items that she or her family purchased. If you've got anything that they provided, perhaps post or courier them to them. As if it was me, I probably wouldn't want anything from them in my living space. But I would not let any of them enter your property, ever. Take out a restraining order or report them to police if you need to. Just make sure they keep their distance. Condolences for your loss. It's a pretty difficult scenario to have to go through. The last story is titled, Am I the a-hole for telling my wife that it is her fault that our son doesn't tell her anything? Me, 45 male, and my wife, 42 female, are currently going through a divorce. We have been married for 17 years, and the past few haven't been the best in my opinion. We have 3 kids, 11 female, 14 female, 17 male, and the custody has been a big issue and has caused many arguments. The main argument is happening because our son, unprompted, asked if I could have sole custody of him. This request absolutely floored my wife. She couldn't understand why this was happening and accused me of coercing our son. The thing is that my wife and son haven't had a decent relationship in a long time. He started getting noticeably distant from her when he was 8, and while it got slightly better when he was about 14, it has since taken a nosedive. In my opinion, my wife has some really narcissistic tendencies. She can find a way to make anything about herself. She even did this when we found out about our son's mental health struggle and attempts, despite her admitting that she never went through that. Sorry for the rambling, on to my question. Our son is currently in his last year of college and has been applying to unis and other forms of higher education. Like almost every student, he has a dream school. This school is oversubscribed and ridiculously hard to get into. The course he wants to do for his undergrad has 28 spots. This is a well-known school in my country's capital city, so you can imagine how many applicants there are. Last week, my son came to me sobbing. He was so overwhelmed that he couldn't even talk. He just handed me a letter. It was his acceptance letter for his dream school. I just hugged him and let him cry and told him how proud I was of him. Fast forward to yesterday, the topic of funding our kids' education came up. Like how we would split costs for school clubs, trips, university, and college. During this, my wife said she had no idea what our son's university tuition would cost, or if he's even going to a university. I knew his yearly tuition cost £14,000, so I told this to my wife. She asked how the hell I knew this. I told her that our son had been accepted into his dream school, so I knew the exact costs. She started freaking out and asked me when this happened. I told her that he got the letter last week. She started yelling at me for keeping this from her. I told her that our son came and told me of his own accord and that it was his news to share with who he wants to. Here's where I might be the a-hole. I then told her that it was her fault that our son didn't share this with her. She asked me what I meant, and I explained that they didn't really have a relationship and that her ridiculously high expectations for him drove him away. She then stormed off. Looking back on it, that probably was way too harsh. I know that she's going through a lot right now and probably doesn't need reminding of her relationship, or lack thereof, with our son. I still stand by my point. So am I the a-hole? Edit. Sorry for the confusion about the fees not adding up. The school is private and separate from UCAS. That's why the tuition is so high. Not the a-hole. Her reaction to her son being accepted to his dream school was to get angry because of how she found out. That tells me everything I need to know about her. Congrats to you and the kid. Hard work pays off. I thought that as well. She never even gave any indication that she was proud or impressed or happy for him. Not the a-hole. Maybe it was a little harsh, but you're right. It was your son's free will. If your wife doesn't bother to have a great relationship with her son, it isn't your fault for pointing it out. Congrats to your son for getting into his dream college. You seem like a great dad. No a-holes here. Her past actions have consequences. She can't expect anything more. Though maybe try and encourage your son to let her know, out of courtesy, about huge things like this, such as university, work, etc. Especially if she's going to be paying towards these things, that gives her a right to know. He by no means has to share personal things with her though. This is fairer. She can't expect to be told about decisions that affect her finances. This was a conversation about how they would be splitting costs for son's school, and Opie's getting all it's his news to share or not about it while asking for thousands of dollars a year to pay for it? You can't be all you don't deserve to know these things, your bill is $8,000. Come on. Would like to hear the other side of this, honestly. Until then, I think it's no a-holes here. And that's the end of this video, folks. As always, leave a comment and hit like and subscribe. And if you want more of this content, turn your notification on to get updated on the latest videos. And I'll catch you in the next one. Stay safe. Am I the a-hole for refusing to consider being an organ donor for my abusive father, even after my siblings begged me to save him? My father was abusive to me, 20s male, but was never abusive to my siblings, all 8+ years younger than me. We're full siblings. He is my father as much as theirs, but he always treated me like crap. And our mother allowed it, so I don't have anything too nice to say about her either. In her own way, she tried to be there for me, but she didn't save me from him, and she sure as heck didn't prioritize making my life better. The abuse my father inflicted on me was physical and emotional, and it lasted my entire childhood. I know he never did the same to my siblings. They've told me, and I know not everyone can see it, but I have witnessed him with them, and the difference is night and day. I'd even say he was a good parent to them, and if I didn't exist, he could be called a good father overall. But I was there, and he did abuse and hate me. He didn't care what happened to me. I'm not going into specifics about which organ or what his condition is, but my father is now sick and needs a transplant. Think kidney or liver. I'll also say it wasn't self-inflicted because I know that gets asked when stuff like this comes up. My mother and siblings were all tested and didn't match. My father's siblings and some of their kids were tested and there wasn't a match. Some of his friends got tested and they weren't a match. He's on the transplant list, but he's getting sicker, and they don't know if a match will come forward in time. My siblings reached out to me to ask me to get tested and donate if I'm a match. They told me it's looking really bad, and he could die. They said they can't lose him, and they know I hate him. They know he put me through hell and mistreated me, but they wanted me to do it for them instead of for him. so they can have him for however many more years. They were pleading and frantic, and even offered to make sure I got some money from our parents to make up for everything. I felt bad for them and how awful they felt, but I told them I couldn't put myself through something like that to save his life. I said even for them, it was too big of an ask. They brought up how serious this is again, and I told them I know, but it won't be from me if he gets what he needs. I told them I needed them to accept it and focus on being there with him. They said some stuff after. I won't go into it all. And I'm not even mad because they're still so young and their experience with the man is so different than mine. None of them were ever abused, but I have grappled with whether I should have agreed. For them, at least getting tested, and knowing if everyone else wasn't a match, the likelihood I would be was tiny anyway, and I could have spared them the upset. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. But have you considered lying? Your father will be dead soon. Your siblings may have been unaware of the abuse or too young to contemplate it. If there's even the remotest chance you want to continue a relationship with them now as adults, the only family you have left, I presume, then cutting them off to get back at your father may not be the best choice. Obviously, you're not going to get tested and donate a kidney, but just tell them you got tested and you're not a match. Then they'll stop asking you. We've talked about the abuse I suffered at the hands of our father, so they're aware and they know it happened. They believe it happened. But they had such a different father than I did that it's not as easy for them to hate him. I haven't considered lying because if the truth ever got out, and typically stuff comes out even if you try your best to contain it, then I wouldn't have saved the relationship anyway. Anyway, I'm not cutting them off. They might choose to cut me off, but that'll be their choice. I'd love to keep our relationship going. If you go to get tested and tell the doctors you're feeling pressured into making this decision, they will put you in their files as not a match. Just something to consider. Do they actually do that, or just reject you as a donor if you're not doing it of your own free will? Because I didn't think they could lie like that on record. I knew they could reject you for different reasons, though. I donated a kidney a few years ago. One of the things they'll do is if you tell the clinic you're being pressured to donate, not only will they disqualify you right out the gate, they'll come up with a medical reason why you're not eligible. They take the voluntary nature of the thing very serious. Telling your family to kick rocks would be justified, but if you want to not rock the boat quite so hard, this would be a good way to do that. I'll consider if I want to go that far then. My gut says no, that I just want to keep my firm no and move on with my life. But I guess I have to weigh, do I want to try and make this less straining to my relationship with my siblings? Next story. Am I the a-hole for wishing my dad good luck when all he has left is his affair partner because he won't see my brother in the hospital when she's not welcome? My dad cheated on my mom with Fiona. We found out 3 years ago, and my parents got divorced because of it. And Dad married Fiona. Dad and Mom have me 16 and my brother 13. We don't like Fiona, and I don't like Dad either. My brother still has mixed feelings about Dad and wants a relationship with him, but not with Fiona. But my brother still mostly keeps Dad at arm's length because Dad comes with Fiona. To give some more info on other things, I spoke in court about not wanting to go to my dad's house, and the judge didn't listen. In my state, they never have to listen to kids, which means anyone under 18. A judge could choose to, but it's rare that they will when no physical abuse is involved. My brother wanted to spend less time at Dad's house, and that was another thing. Our voice doesn't matter in that either. Not even mine at 16. So we're 50-50 with our parents. The other thing is Fiona has tried to get close to us. She has acted all sweet and caring, like she wants us to be family, and she has cried when we rejected her. I'm ruthless about it too, and told her I will never be her friend and never be her willing family, and to accept it. I told her she is nothing in my eyes and is just as disgusting as Dad. Fiona was our neighbor for a while and knew about Mom and us, so while Dad is primarily the bad guy, she's not innocent. Dad and I fight regularly about it. So, my brother has pretty severe asthma, and he was hospitalized almost 3 weeks ago. My brother made it clear to the hospital staff that he didn't want Fiona to visit him, so she's not allowed in. Because of that, Dad refused to visit, even when my brother asked to see him. My brother stopped calling him after that, and ignores any calls Dad makes. My dad had some friends over, and he complained to them about the whole thing. When they left, I told him that I hoped he was prepared to never see me or my brother again, and good luck when all he has left is his affair partner. He told me not to speak about Fiona like that, and to stop speaking to him like that. I told him that's what Fiona will be, until the day she dies, just like he will be a cheater until the day he dies. He told me stopping all contact with a parent for loving their partner is wrong. I rolled my eyes, and he's still whining about what I said. He told Mom I had no right to speak to him that way. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Your dad chose his affair partner over his son's well-being. Actions have consequences. He can't expect love and respect when he won't even show up for his own kid in the hospital. Best 18th B-Day present for you is the ability to go no contact with him. Yep, it can't come fast enough. Write him a really colorful letter before you go no contact, so he can really stew in it. Oh, and if he dares to contact you, post his number on Craigslist under giving old car parts for free. Every time. Works like a charm. I considered sending him a really badly written text, because that stuff drives him crazy. I have no sympathy for a man who refuses to visit his son in the hospital unless his affair partner wife can come too. Dad stepped over a line he can't come back from. His son asked him to come and Dad refused unless he got his way. Then he has the audacity to demand an apology? Oh, hell no. The fact he thinks my brother will get over it too. But Dad acts like he's the one who has the right to be mad that we're shunning his affair partner. Tough break. You and your brother have every right to be angry. Your dad's an a-hole. You and bro should look into petitioning the courts to live with your mother, especially in light of him not even visiting your brother in the hospital. It won't make a difference. The court won't listen to us because we're under 18 and they don't have to. We tried. We tried so hard before, but it wasn't happening. Next story. Am I the a-hole for letting my grandparents throw my dead dad in my mom's face? My dad died 6 years ago. I, 17 male, was 11. My mom started dating a year later, and she met husband number 2 within a few months. He was a single dad with a 4-year-old son at the time, and because he wanted his son to have a mom, they moved fast and got married within a year. My mom was pregnant a few months later. She now has 2 biological kids with her husband, and she calls her stepson her son, and he calls her mom. I don't know why, but a few weeks ago, my mom made this big deal out of giving each of the other kids something that had belonged to my dad. It was nothing huge, but I didn't like it and told Mom she shouldn't give Dad's stuff away like that. It should be just for his family. Mom told me they were his family in spirit, and I said that was BS. She told me that my sister, 19 female, and I would get most of it and asked why I would hate my younger siblings getting something. I said they're not Dad's kids, and why would anyone think it was normal? She told me I was overreacting and said they were just things anyone could own. I said that wasn't the point. Those were Dad's things. I asked if she ever thought about how gross it might feel to give stuff that belonged to the man who died to make room for these kids. 2 who wouldn't exist, and 1 who would still be a stranger if Dad hadn't died. She told me to never speak like that again, and she punished me for saying it. My sister was so mad when she found out that she came home from college just to pack up her share of Dad's stuff, and she told Mom not to speak to her. Mom told her she was being unreasonable and should try to understand what she was doing. My sister told her she was being weird and that it showed what she thought of us, doing it without finding out if we'd be okay with it. We both told our dad's parents about it. They were shocked and assumed we had misunderstood, so they came and asked Mom if it was true. And she said yes. She said it was only small stuff, but that they're all her kids and Dad is still one of her husbands, and her husband was cool with it because they weren't sentimental things. Grandma got more upset because one of the things Mom gave away was a stuffed animal Grandma's mom had bought for Dad before she died. Dad had only just been born at the time, so it meant a lot to Grandma. She told Mom she had always wanted that left in the family, and that Mom had always said my sister and I would get our choice of stuff, and then them, before anything else was disposed of or given away. She said she had refused to let us take anything until now, and yet Mom gave things away anyway. Mom said they stayed in the family, and my grandparents exploded. They told her that my dad would be disgusted with what she did, and they hoped she enjoyed disrespecting her first husband and the kids she had with him, because that's exactly what she did. Then they called Mom a liar and said it was awfully convenient that she pulled a stunt like this. My mom got upset and told them to leave. She said throwing Dad in her face like that was uncalled for. When they were gone, she turned to me and asked how I could let them do that to her. I told her they weren't wrong in my opinion, and if I could ignore her like my sister is right now, I would. My mom demanded an apology a few days ago for letting it happen. Am I the a-hole? Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. Your dad's thing should only go to his family, not her new one. Mom disagrees, and she's not changing her mind, which sucks. I hate that she did this. Not the a-hole. While yes, they can be considered your family if you want to see them as that, but they are not your father's family. She has no right to give anything away without letting you or your sister know. She didn't even let us pick out the stuff we wanted. She kept saying it wasn't time. We both had to be 18. She said the same to Dad's parents and siblings. Man, I got secondhand anger reading that. That's pretty messed up. You were nicer to her than I would have been. If you both had to be 18, then why is she giving things away to children even younger than you? That's the thing that pisses me off most. I think it pisses us all off the most. We didn't get to choose the stuff we wanted and take them. It's not like she gave her stuff left from Dad to them. She gave the stuff we should have been allowed to choose from. Last story. Am I the a-hole for threatening to cancel my wedding that my dad is paying for if he invites his brother? My fiancé and I are getting married in May and decided that we didn't want to have a traditional large wedding. We had always really wanted to get married at the courthouse. A big reason for this is because we didn't want to have to deal with the drama that comes along with not inviting people who think they are entitled to be invited, specifically my uncle and his wife. My parents were very upset about the courthouse idea because they wanted more of a celebration, so we compromised and rented a big vacation house to get married at. It wasn't exactly what we wanted, but we were still happy to do it this way. My parents paid for the house. We invited about 10 people, including 2 couples that my parents are friends with. But now my dad is insisting we invite his brother. I have always felt very strongly about not inviting my dad's brother and his wife to our wedding, no matter how small our ceremony is. They are extremely entitled people, have spread many false rumors about my family, and trash-talked us behind our backs, all while trying to maintain the guise of being one big, perfect, loving family. Put simply, I don't care how closely related I am to them. I do not have any sort of affection for them, and I certainly don't trust them. Now my dad is using the fact that he is paying for everything as a way to control his brother getting invited. He says it's also a celebration for him too, so he wants his brother there, even though he will have other friends and family there. I say it's my wedding day, and I don't want to spend it with someone who has treated us like we're beneath him his whole life. My fiancé and I have already compromised for my parents by getting married at this house in the first place. We don't need to make any more compromises for them. My dad is not budging and is accusing me of being selfish and petty. So now my fiancé and I are strongly considering canceling it all and going back to our original courthouse plans. Seeing us get married is a privilege, not a right. So, am I the a-hole here? Does my father actually get more say since he is the one paying for everything? I don't understand the problem. You didn't want this bigger wedding in the first place. Why not just tell him if your uncle is invited, you're going back to a courthouse wedding? This is exactly what I'm doing now. He's telling me I'm being petty and immature for going back to my original plans. Are you planning to allow your parents to attend the courthouse wedding? If so, tell your dad that if he doesn't quit trying to make your wedding all about what he wants, he won't be witnessing it at all. If he keeps calling you petty and immature, just uninvite him and have the courthouse wedding that you want. Not the a-hole. The only reason you're having this extravaganza is as a favor to your dad. If he crosses your boundaries by inviting his brother, you're fully justified to change to the little wedding you wanted in the first place. In fact, you should probably cancel the big wedding unconditionally at this point. You can't trust your dad to keep your uncle out. Even if he were to reassure you uncle wouldn't be invited, he's taken your wedding and turned it into his party. I do think that, in the long run, you'll look back on your courthouse wedding and be content that you got exactly what you wanted. 100% this. If he says okay he's not invited, I'm completely sure the uncle and wife will show up anyway. Call or text everyone and tell them the wedding at the house is off. Do your courthouse wedding. If you are inviting them to the courthouse, make sure it is known the uncle is not invited and he will be escorted off the grounds if he shows up.